I'm so glad there are more than 10 people here, so thank you for that, since I'm the last session speaker. So let me just start by saying, had I known what I was getting into when I started on this voyage, I probably would have avoided creating this monster that you're looking at. But now that I'm here, I'm really proud to be the mother of my freak, because this freak is developed for all the crazy changes the future might hold. I've been asked to try and share my last 10 years of experience with you about transmedia in about 15-20 minutes. So I hope it's okay that I skip quite a bit, and I've tried to sort of put some touch points down into just a few elements. I still hope you can get an idea of the pros and cons about transmedia, and that this might inspire you to make some choices for yourself in the future. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. Now, originally I'm a journalist. First I worked as a radio and TV host for DRTV and TV2. And then I worked as editor-in-chief for something called Chile Media for magazines, Denmark's largest youth magazines and websites. And I saw the internet and the mobile, and I saw all these huge opportunities, but the established industry didn't see anything at all. So I left, and my friend and I, we saw this huge gap in the future. We created this company based on the fact that the #1 genre in the world, crime fiction, best in books and in TV, they had very little to do with what we called back then the new media. So we knew exactly what to do, except of course we didn't at all. So is this working? No? I'll do this. So this was in 2002. We decided that we could really change the world with this very, very simple recipe. And we made TV animations for TV2, mobile crime games for teenagers, etc. And we had great viewing numbers, etc. But we didn't make a dime. So at one point we were asked to make a mini version of a crime game for kids. And we thought, well, that's easy, we just think up a dog that's a detective dog, and we don't use violence, and we just take it from there. And then suddenly this survey came in the door saying that the kids preferred this to McDonald's and Disney's Jungle Book, and we went, oh my God, what's this? Maybe we have something here that we need to be working on. So we stopped all production. We got in clients and research that could tell us more about this big potential thing that we had. And this is how we got started. The birth of cross-media, later to be known as transmedia, came for us when we met another guy called Martin Lindström. Now, Martin Lindström wrote a book back then called Brainchild, and what he basically was saying is that everyone tried to roll out their different kinds of products by using a very traditional production pipeline. And basically what he was saying was that what you needed to do in order to reach children between 7 and 13 is you needed to have this 4-winged butterfly. You needed to be online, you needed to have a traditional marketing, you need to have some sort of presence at schools, and you needed to create fan-based stuff. And for us, we just immediately saw the vision. It was completely simple to us. Instead of creating one product and then creating lots and lots of marketing around it like he was suggesting, we would just create a lot of content, make money on it all, and it was completely simple. How hard could that be? Well, maybe not as easy as we thought it was. We didn't know it yet, but this was actually the beginning of what is today called transmedia. To us, it just made a lot of sense. So in this research period, we did a couple of things to become a little wiser. We got a job with Disney Channel, helping them roll out High School Musical and Hannah Montana, and Camp Rock and all those, and we learned so much about why it is that these big companies keep repeating their ability to make great big successes and make lots of money on them and storytelling, etc. we did all this, and we suddenly realized we were beginning to have a roadmap for this thing called Crimeville. So we took a good look at the brands out there. This was the brands back then, lots of different brands later. But what we found out was that there were some key success criteria we simply had to have when we were working with a brand for kids. We needed games and stories. We needed a strong design that could function on all media. We needed a minimum of 3 income lines. And we needed this spider cross-promotion when we were rolling it out. And we needed, at that point, a TV main animation series driver. And of course, it all had to be great quality. So let me just figure out where I am here. So we saw and still do see that crime fiction for kids is the most amazing opportunity to create a crime-solving world out there where nobody's perfect, but who wants to be nobody? So we were ready. I managed to raise some money, and by 2009 we began. Although we were underfinanced, of course, and I assumed that that would be completely easy to solve as soon as everyone could see how great this would be. Maybe you should consider repeating that kind of, I should say, positive attitude, although I am still here and we did manage. So back to our production. We knew exactly what to do. We hired a dream team, and we began by taking the lead in the TV animation business. Online game was added value at that point. We were not a game company. Well, at least not yet. So, leading this by TV, slowly the face of the monster began to reveal itself. So let me just introduce to you challenge number 1. Financing in transmedia is close to impossible because there are no transmedia decision makers. So TV is conventionally financed through co-production. That means you get a good number of countries, producers and broadcasters on board. It also means that you have 15 decision makers on your TV production, and you're launching in maybe 15 countries at the same time. And it's really hard to figure out how you make this work. Now, is it working now? You have this really hard way of making things under control. So instead we thought, well, we want total control. We want investors in the whole company instead. And so that's what we went for. Challenge number 2. Too many chefs run things, and it became for us immediately important for us that if we were ever going to pull this off, we needed to be able to make all the decisions in our own house in order to create this big monster, which we didn't know it was yet, of course. So, challenge number 3. Design is a 6-letter word that means something entirely different on every media you work with. So, let me just get this straight. It was completely clear for me how to produce this IP or brand, except nobody understood each other on the team, and nobody understood what I was saying. So, how do you begin? Well, easy. First, you create a universe. Well, okay, maybe not a universe. Maybe something a little smaller will do. Just platform 3 then. Full control. Teamwork on as many platforms as possible. And then, of course, you get challenge number 4. Really get it into your head that the word design means something different on each media platform. And that's just that one word. What about all the other words? Okay? So, transmedia for us was about reinventing the entire ways to tell stories. So in order to make something that worked on TV, we needed character-leading, great storytelling. And in order for it to be innovative and new, we wanted it to be interactive, game-like stories. So we decided to let TV lead the character and interactive story building. And then we would have the online lead the city and connected gameplay. And then the hosts of all our platforms would be led by TV again. So challenge number 5. Every platform owner will tell you how things are done in order for their platform to work. And sometimes they are completely right. And sometimes they are completely wrong. And you don't know when is what. So, TV, after a long internal battle, came up with these characters. This is the online work and the hosts. They came up with these characters that seemed to work on TV, but the online guys hated them. I mean, how are they going to make avatars for kids that look like that? It's impossible technically to work with. I mean, and then fights began. TV thought the online people wanted the lowest pixel barrier of poor quality. And online people thought the TV people went into wrong details and oversaw the most important elements of transmedia connectivity. And it was clear that things weren't very clear. So storytellers underestimated gameplays, and game people underestimated the importance of design connected to the humorous storytelling with a message. And here was I, in the middle, insisting on things that would make us into a brand forever, instantly recognizable on all platforms. Transmedia was about reducing costs so that we could reuse artwork. So it wasn't just, a matter of artwork being able to work on all the platforms. We really had to directly be able to reuse stuff. So I was lectured about how print graphic is best with this software, and online graphic works better with another software, and that we needed to decide on pixel sizes from the beginning. What I was asking was naive, it was bad for the result, and I really didn't listen very much. I insisted on top of that. I wanted any user to be able to have an avatar looking exactly like our characters from TV series. So they shook their heads at me and each other, and it was really hard. I mean, at one point, they all came to this conclusion. They thought out, they figured, this, now we have it. Listen, we've got the conclusion. We make characters for TV, and then you make avatars for your world, and we pretend they belong together. And I'm like, but that's not what we're doing. Then we're not doing anything new. Then we're just doing what everyone else has been doing. So, challenge number 6. You meet the best experts in the world, and what they know is what they've learnt, but they don't know what the future will be. So you are creating the future, and there are really no rules. So my advice is, listen to these experts, take it all in, change, adapt as much as you feel they have a point. Try and listen, and then go do your own thing anyway. If we develop what we know, we're not going to change things. We have to challenge our own conventional thinking. So anyway, the problems continued with the cityscape. Online loved this. TV people hated it. It was never going to be broadcasted like this. There was no humor in it. It didn't follow the scripts. It just wasn't good enough. And the TV people also hated the avatars. Let's try and see if I can find some avatars here. We tried this. We tried this. We tried these round little avatars. TV people absolutely hated them. So slowly the stories, gameplay and connectivity began to be clear, but our design wasn't really clear. And I mean, this was key. So we were in a bit of a fix, really. Or should I say completely stuck. So I took the hard decision of firing the whole design team and started all over again. This time I got a really great character designer, an Italian called Luca Fattora from A-Film, to come on board with another guy who today is our lead art director, Finn Skolgård. And then with an advice from a good gaming friend who's sitting here in the audience today, thanks Peter, you saved us. He told me, you've got to go and rejoin the team. And this was against all the advice that I'd ever been told. Let the professionals do your job. You're not the expert. You have to let the professionals do this. Problem was, I was the one with the vision, right? So I was super scared because I didn't have their track record. I just had this idea, and I just knew I was onto something. And I think it was the scariest moment stepping into this and trying to explain all these people that I thought maybe they were wrong and I was right. But suddenly something clicked. After 2 months, we had a design that looked completely different. So we had this problem here when we're not really platform free. And then suddenly we realized it's actually possible. This is a template of our character. This can work, become an avatar in the online world, and it can also work here, as you see. They're all built up on the same templates. So we had suddenly something that was unique in the design, looked the same, and yet it was different, and it could be fit to all platforms, all sizes, all screens. So with a little tweaking on colors, awful colors here, still awful, a little bit better. We got the avatars in, tried to test that, and it was all a matter of testing. So we were almost there at this point, except of course now we needed the game design, game creation, ranking, point, payoff, in-game payment structure, technical architecture of an MMO, database, framework, front-end, back-end localization, scaling, agile production methodology, community management, new development, social media connections, landing page, website, forums. God almighty. This was turning into this monster. But we made it. I don't really know how, but we managed to put evidence in as virtual coins, and we just had to fix these hosts a little bit because, I mean, now they'd gone a bit old because we'd done all the new stuff, especially that Chasey there. Look, I mean, she looks ridiculous. So giving her a new look. Looks a bit better. Oh, that looks nice, except the TV people didn't like her colors and thought she looks like a whore, so we had to change her a little bit again. Now look, the eye looks a bit wrong. Can you see that? Change the color of Chasey. Shall we give Diggs a little overlook? Maybe not. Oh, wow. There we go. Now we were ready. Took 2 months, and suddenly we had it all connected. These characters could now move on all platforms. The stories could be either reused or reinvented as games on all platforms, from TV scripts to trading card games to online gameplay. So now we had a new issue. The market was changing, and we were in 2010. We were still relevant when it came to tweens and crime fiction and the interactive stuff. That was still fine. But the kids were watching less TV. Suddenly, new numbers came out that, you know, online and console, they were playing that more than the TV. And we thought, oh my God, what are we going to do? I mean, should we still go on with TV or what? And what we decided was actually that it was a huge opportunity because the access to the market is easier in the digital market. So it was there and then that we decided to lay down our TV department, for the time being at least, and the fights that we'd had in the development made it an easy choice. I mean, they really didn't work very well together. So we did feel it was a good thing to take the lead. We'd learnt enough from the TV people. And this was a big change. I mean, forced by investors, we had to do it fast. We had to launch our massive multiplayer online world or virtual world or shared real-time experience fast. So before, the strategy was the TV would connect all things around. Now the strategy was the online world would connect things with all the other entities feeding into each other. So we did the launch. But let me first, before I give you the launch, let me just give you a quick... So here is Crimeville. So a long time ago, people lost their sense of humor and decided that everyone that tried to make fun was a criminal and had to be sent off to this island. And in the beginning, people were really sad and couldn't understand why they were sent off to this island. I mean, what had they done? Slowly, they realized actually it's good to be funny, it's good to be different. So they created this amazing place to live. But every once in a while, things tend to get a little out of hand. So that could be when Scotty O'Kilt gets his head stuck in his bagpipe, or Sister Mary gets involved in sandcastle blow-ups, or Lord Hamilton Burp somehow is always near coins disappearing, and except he claims that he's really rich. And that's when the kids step in and help solve the crime mysteries. So I'm just going to show you a little video, and it's basically just a little glimpse of what we've got rolling in Scandinavia. And that's why it's in different languages and stuff, but it should work.
Oh no! Who ruined Merle Gray's birthday? Was it Merle Gray himself? Was it Chuck Matthews, the reporter at the party? Or the birthday clown Chuckles?
Jeg tror, det er klokken Coco, som har fyret kagen af.
Nej, det var ikke mig. Det var min tvillingebror.
Og det er ikke sådan et spil, du bliver træt af og tænker, fordi du ved ikke, hvad der sker. Leif Lipton ville hellere have haft en tryllekunstner til at optræde. Hvorfor ville du det?
Crimevillains, I love it.
So at the moment we have an online MMO where the kids can go in. We have trading cards in the shops, and they have codes that feed into the online MMO. We have online marketing.
Er I klar til at pege?
And stage shows.
Okay, så er det, man gør sådan her. Man tæller
where
til
we
3,
teach them
og
how
så
to
peger
play
man.
the game.
1, 2, 3,
They're trying to point at the crook here.
Sådan. Nej. Nej. Du skal blive der, Leif. Ja, du bliver der.
And we have Dixon Chasey that always explains what's going on in every scene.
Jeg tror, det er klokken Coco, som har fyret kagen af.
Det var altså ikke mig. Det var jo faktisk mig, der havde gjort det, ikke?
Crazy crimes are waiting to be cracked. Go to Crimevillains.com to be fully briefed.
So that's the entity where we are now. So we did this early launch. You see the striped line. It wasn't my dream launch because I knew we had to be on many medias, but I mean we were forced by our investors to prove that at least we had something there. And I mean there is a good point to doing that, because if you launch early you get some kind of feeling whether you're just living in your own dream world or whether the kids or your target group actually like it. You could say it was a good thing. And also everyone told us that if things go really well, it's really easy to raise money. So challenge number, I think we're on 7. Don't believe it's easy to raise money at any point, any time, ever. This was what happened to us. We were 5 months ahead of our targets after a very, very short period of time. Our campaigning and our whole cross-media rollout, it was too effective. And you may sound, well, this is great, but you know, really, it was not great at all. We had no moderation, we had no community management, we had no chat security. What if the pedophiles are going to come and, you know, steal our kids? This was a huge issue, and raising money was not at all easy to do in 2 weeks. So we were standing there, we were 5 months production behind after a week, and we could just see this was just going to go mad. So we had one choice, and that was stop all campaigning and go back and then see if we could at least prove that this had potential in other countries. So we managed to get some more money in, and we prepared ourselves a little better. And in July 2011, we tried again, this time in Denmark, Norway and Sweden, and we had some focus points. More MMO content, develop a tool set around the MMO with KPI tracking, moderation, language handling, community management, and all the new stuff that needs to go in the MMO all the time. Grow to Scandinavia to prove the scalability. Sorry. Build our payment system to validate our business model. And we had to do this just 15 people. So we did. In July 2011, we launched again online in Denmark, Sweden and Norway, but now with 9 game genres and over 40 gameplays, with Cartoon Network as a partner. And we were much more prepared this time. and at least we've been able to show that things have been we've been able to keep our users. So what happened was, out of a TV campaign we had in Scandinavia, we had 179,000 unique TV viewers, and out of those we reached 138,000 unique viewers who came to our website in the same 3-month period in just Scandinavia. And out of those we got 48,000 registrations, and today we've grown to 82,000 Crimevillains. And of course everyone will be telling you it's all about the retention, and it's all about how you keep them and how you monetize and everything, and they're completely right. But what's also really important here is preparing to have enough people to handle all this. And this is still an issue today. I mean, what we're able to do today is we're able to keep hold of the users that we have, but we're finding it really hard to be able to grow in other countries at the same time. We have limited money to deal with the whole thing. But so, you know, this has really become a monster. And at this point, we thought, now it's going to be really easy, you know, to raise money. But then, you know, something was happening in the total market as well. Because by now, Farmville and the likes of those were growing, and every venture in the world the past year had been looking for Angry Birds and Farmville who had 50 million users. So even though we knew this number was a really great number with a great potential, they thought we were too slow. It was as if the global digital space in 2011 grew so strong on its own that transmedia suddenly seemed maybe irrelevant. Now, I'm glad to say, about 6 months later, things are changing again. Competition is now everywhere with everything, from digital books to TV to games to social media to lots of new stuff that still hasn't got a name. We see different strategies, big fast games with a lifetime of more long term. And I mean, the mobile and the iPad has changed our digital lives. I mean, think about it. The iPad store with apps launched in January 2011. That's 1 year ago. Can you believe it? I mean, that's crazy, right? So all in all, this crowdiness towards all these new entities, etc., has made us believe that our key principles for success are more relevant than ever. So we can't wait till we're out there fully transmedia. So building lots of games is just as legit within one area as our model. It's just two different ways. So a Farmville will have maybe a quicker start, and it'll have a shorter lifetime than entities that we like to compare ourselves to more, which are Mushy Monsters and Club Penguin, who have more than just the MMO supporting them. But if you're able to make a new Farmville on top of a new Farmville on top of a new Farmville, then that's a great recipe. So there's nothing wrong with that. As a small company, we just believe in growing step by step, growing a really strong entity that doesn't have a short lifetime. So that's what we're building. So basically, we've come to live with our monster. We're happy with our monster. We feel it's well prepared for the future and the changes that we see all around. Our design and storytelling, it's as if it's made for the iPad. Yet this device didn't exist when we built it. So for all the new stuff that's going to come, we feel we're very much prepared to handle IPTV and all the other stuff that can become there. So our mission is more relevant than ever. We create wacky crime-solving experiences wherever, whenever, and on whatever. So I think slowly the investment world is realizing that the key to the future is not by using recipes from today. And this is a relief to us. We're finally beginning to open doors again. So that's really great. And in 2012 and 13, we plan to show you how Crimeville will grow with our MMO, mobile augmented reality games, board games, iPad interactive stories, merchandise on digital e-shops, TV, etc., etc. So it is like building a monster, and it might not be for you. We love our freak, We can calculate it has amazing opportunities, even though it has weird ways and maybe sticks out from the standard. And being only 15 people and freelancers, we're quite proud of what we've achieved. Yet we still feel vulnerable until we've broken into cash flow positive, which we expect to do next year. We still need more partners and everything, just maybe like everyone else. So what I hope I've given you today is maybe a little insight in transmedia ways and inspired you a little maybe on your own route. Perhaps it's not about do you want to do this or do you not want to do it, but about defining what your future will be. Maybe some road that's a new road in the middle or on the outskirts or something. So that's it. Thank you for coming. I would love to have some questions, if you have any. No? Please ask me questions.
I have one.
Oh, good.
I was wondering what your plan is in terms of localization and for the future. You're only in the Scandinavian countries still?
Yeah, we have a beta in Holland.
Yeah.
And next step is Germany. We localize everything. And at the moment, kids under 8 are showing a huge interest in us, so we're considering voicing everything. And with some of the new MMOs that have come out with voicing as a big success, we think it might be an amazing opportunity for us. But I mean, it's a balance between cost, right? I mean, it has to level out.
Yeah.
And it's because we're still only so young, we don't know exactly how that's going to pan out.
So
There's a question here.
Here you go, Astrid.
It all sounds fantastic. You mentioned moderation.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by that. We had lots of fun and games when I was at PlayStation Home trying to manage with a massive team of people all integrated in the Sony organisation.
Yeah. And
you're 15 people.
Yeah.
And how do you do it?
Well, we don't sleep a lot, and it's a struggle. But we've done some quite good technical things where we pick up on lots of words, and we've prevented them in being able to swear, which has really created amazing opportunities. And then we've talked a lot about branding, and that the kids don't really want to be nasty or anything. And it's a lot, you know, with Crimevillains as being the nobody's perfect, but who wants to be nobody? So when a kid is really behaving badly, or at one point we thought we had a really predator type person, and everyone got really worried, and I was asking what was the username, and it turns out it was a girl that I met at an event, and she was 11, you know, and she was just being a complete idiot, asking for phone numbers and all kinds of stuff. So what we've been doing is we've been sending out these really sweet emails about you probably don't know it, but when you write this is how other people may feel. Have you thought about that? And please, you know, we want to be a really nice place. And it's turned out that with our partner Christian Batiste now, who's former vice president of Habbo, who's taking it on into Holland, he's saying he's never experienced that little, so little problems and stuff. So I think it's about the branding that we've thought so much about. What kind of brand are we? What are we signaling? That the kids actually follow into it. So
we noticed some very different behaviours with different. In the home days, we noticed some very different behaviours with different territories.
yeah,
so
maybe.
The Japanese market was very much more relaxed in terms of the kind of interactions, whereas the US and the UK specifically were much harder work in terms of moderation. So, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, in Denmark, they have a really bad language in Habbo and all the others. They have awful languages in all the other MMOs. And they don't in ours. So, and it might change for every country. Have we got a bad community manager there? Then, you know, if he says piss off or something to the kids, you know, then they might go piss off, you know. I don't know. But it's a challenge, really is a challenge. And it's just one of the challenges. Because, I mean, look at this. When can I scan my cartoon? When is it going to be? When can I do this? Can you do that? Can we make that? When can I do my own mysteries? Can I play that game? Can we do multiplayer? Yes. and we have to do it if we want to keep them, right?
You're preaching to the converted.
Oh, right, sorry.
So I had a couple of questions. You know, it's hard for most young companies to do one thing well, right?
Yeah.
You're clearly covering a lot of bases with a very small team at what looks like a pretty consistent level of quality.
Thank you.
Well, I'm guessing based on the video. You know. How have you managed to find the leverage to kind of get across that many pieces effectively with that small a team? You know, what's the secret of what you assembled it or how you assembled it that you think has enabled you to drive that transmedia?
We get a bigger team. There is no way we can. We've reached the limit to what we're able to do. We can sustain the users that we have, but we are finding it hard. I mean, we might be able to go in one more market with the team that we are now, but then we really need to step up. We really need to. And I think that's going to happen in 2012. It's going to be necessary. I mean, we are, of course, making money when we are in more countries than just 3, right? So it's a natural step, but we do need to be more people, definitely.
So the other question that I had is, you know, you mentioned that you're sort of driving towards, you know, positive cash flow from operations next year, I think.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how has the dedication to a transmedia strategy, you know, impacted your overall economics, right? You're clearly taking a bigger, riskier play. Not all of those channels can be revenue drivers, right? I'm sure that some of them are losses, at least in the near term. Has taking that transmedia strategy had an impact on the kind of timing of the break-even point for the company? Would it be elsewhere with a narrower, more focused strategy?
Yeah, I think we're slower. And to some investors think that that's bad, but luckily a lot of investors think that maybe that's the strength, because it also means that we're going to last a lot longer. But yeah, it definitely has. And also the choices. I mean, we work with 2 different budgets. One is called the cautious cow, and one's called the adventurous ape. And what we say is that we're cautious cows until we have enough proof that we can be adventurous apes. So we stay sort of focused on maybe just the iPad, the mobile, and the MMO for now, and then we grow with the others, and we stay digital with control and that kind of stuff. But it really is hard. There was lots of choices, and you know, do you make a new thing in the MMO? Or do you make the mobile augmented reality with the code thing that feeds into the MMO? Which one will give you the longer lifetime? Don't know. So we have to be able to do enough that can give us some testing. I mean, I saw Singer earlier today. She said, well, if you don't know whether they should have pink or black hair, why not just do it both? I was thinking, that's a great plan. Give me some money and I'll do it all. Yeah.
More questions?
Someone over there?
Hey, so what other brands has your company been compared to? Because when I look at your strategy and your approach, I'm seeing the cards, I'm seeing the video game, I'm seeing the TV spot, and I'm thinking, Pokemon? I mean, this kind of sounds like... But, I mean, what other comparisons have been made? I'm making that one from personal, but, I mean, what other brands have you been compared with?
Mushy Monsters. And you're right, Pokemon is... I'm glad, thank you very much for the comparison.
Is that one that comes up frequently in terms of, like, how your strategy for hitting transmedia?
Well, good question. I think all the Disney brands are transmedia, right? So Hannah Montana, High School Musical, Camp Rock, they're all just in different ways, and all the TV series and everything. So there is a lot out there, actually, but there's very little that isn't from Disney that actually do it. So what was your question again? Whether we compare ourselves to others, or...
Which brands, other well-known brands, have you been like compared with? Just so that we've got an idea of like sort of the brands that you're being compared to or against. So you know, obviously you then know what your competition is or what the perceived competition is.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, some like to say Club Penguin, but we're not really Club Penguin because Club Penguin hasn't done. Club Penguin started online and is still quite sort of almost online. But Moshi Monsters is our biggest fan that we compare ourselves to. And when you talk about what others compare ourselves to, I think it's probably Moshi Monsters is the closest one because they are one of the few that did the online, forgot about the TV, and did the online launch, but with lots and lots of products that connect into it. So I think they are probably the closest one. There are tons and tons of names out there that you can mention from the TV world, but not that many that are born from the digital space. Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank
Good.
you.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, guys. Shall we go to the bar?